r/AskReddit by Redmond Detes. What is your worst Tinder date story? We'd been chatting a bit and decided to meet for drinks. I don't drive, so she offered to pick me up. She mentioned she needed to stop at her brother's house. Odd but sure. Once we got there, she said she was only gonna be a second. I stayed in the car. When she got back in, she pulled out a crack pipe and offered me a hit. I immediately noped out and walked home. Who does that? Went on a date with a girl from Tinder. She showed up and was almost a half hour late. Not that big a deal on its own. We sit down to eat and she complained about everything. I didn't take her to a 5-star restaurant, but it's a pretty nice joint. She was horrible to the staff and I couldn't apologize enough. Ate like a wild boar and did nothing but criticize my outfit, family situation, car, choice of restaurant, etc, etc. Thought maybe she's just in a bad mood or was really not into the restaurant. Tried to take her to a bar for a drink and convo. She got blasted and left while I was in the bathroom, sticking me with her bar tab. Never again, lol. 7 years or so ago, I was on Tinder and matched with some girl 3 states away. She was a solid 8 out of 10 to me and kept wanting me to visit her. To drive out to her would take around 8 hours and I didn't have a vehicle yet. I was in the dorms in the Air Force and work was only a 5-minute walk, so I was in no hurry to get one. Eventually, she offered to drive to me and drive back to her place. That should have been a red flag, but I guess I was just a stupid horny 23-year-old. So I accepted. So I gave her the address of the metro station off base and met up with her there 2 days later. My roommate didn't know a whole lot about the situation other than that I was probably just gonna go bang and be right back. I got in the car and was surprised that I wasn't catfished. It was the same girl I thought I was talking to. What I wasn't expecting is that there was another girl in the car with her. She wasn't bad looking either, but I had no idea she would be with her too. But again, thought not much of it, since there's one girl picking up a 6'4" guy 8 hours away. You're not gonna want to go alone. They didn't know who I was in person. I don't remember much of the car ride, but we did stop once at McDonald's to eat. Once we got to her place, I was dead tired, and so were they, so we went to bed. They both got into the same bed they said I could sleep in. Nothing happened, so I fell asleep. I woke up a few hours later and found that my arms and legs were tied to the bed. Once they saw I was awake, they began feeling me up and talking about something in that slow, sexy voice that's hard to really describe. I was sorta panicking because I couldn't move, but 2 reasonably attractive girls were making a move on me, so I didn't struggle or say much. They started having sex with me, no condom. One was sucking me off while the other was sitting on my chest dry humping me. This went on for a long while. They didn't untie me when they were done. They left the room and I just laid there in the dark. I was hungry and thirsty. My phone was on the side table, out of reach. Somehow I fell back asleep. These acts continued at random for the next 36 or so hours, and they gave me sips of water throughout, but no food. I really can't remember much of my time there. It was super hazy after that first time. I eventually remember telling them that if I wasn't back to work, the Air Force would call me AWOL and start looking for me. Sometime later they untied me and we got back in the car. I didn't say a word to either of them the entire 8-hour drive back. My phone was dead, so I couldn't even tell anyone where I was. When I got back to my dorm, my roommate just stared at me wide-eyed and whispered, "Are you okay?" I can't remember what I said to him, but I just walked over to my bed and slept. When I got up, he was pressuring me for details and I think I told him everything I remember, but to this day, there wasn't much of it I actually recall. Luckily for me, it was the weekend and I didn't actually miss any work. But yeah, even though it was technically consensual, as we both knew I'd be there for 6, I think I was raped. Swiped right on a guy and met up. He seemed okay but a bit dull. We had a cheap meal and I went back to his place. Found he had a model railway and was making his own station. It was a model of the railhead at Auschwitz, complete with our beat marked fray over the gate. I made my excuses and left. I mean, I got no problem with a guy having a hobby, but an Auschwitz train set? WTF. He was 15 minutes late, texted me to let me know, and shows up in dirty work boots, sweatpants, and clearly hasn't shaved in over a week. His profile pics showed him neatly groomed. He also had a flosser in his mouth. I'm already really turned off, and decided that I'm going to pay for my part of the meal and never see this guy again. If he can't even bother to make himself look presentable for a first date, I honestly would have just gotten back in my car and left, but I was already there and really wanted some enchiladas. We go inside the restaurant and it was very busy, so we sat at the bar waiting for a table. He remarks that he comes here a lot and it's usually not so busy on a Friday. I said, well, Valentine's Day is on Monday, so that's probably why. Q rant about how pointless Valentine's Day is. Somehow he segues that into how he's reading a 10,000-page government document about how to acquire his social security number and birth certificate from the government to become a sovereign citizen and not have to pay taxes or bills anymore. I tried to tell him he was full of it without being rude, but he wasn't catching the hints. After about 10 minutes, I heard myself say, "You're way too weird for me to continue this date," and I hurried to my car and left. He texted me at least 6 times in the 13 minutes it took me to drive home. Long texts in which he defended his position and called me a sheeple. I replied telling him he's a effing lunatic. And also mentioned how he dressed. He tells that his clothes cost more than mine, his underwear alone were $40, etc. And at that point, I blocked him. A few months later, his picture randomly turns up on a local gossip group for my city. He asked someone to post his pics and asked smash or pass, and 100% of the responses were pass. Went on a date with a beautiful woman in central London who was so boring that I told her I accidentally left my oven on, and left. Mild, but it blew my mind how empty the insides of some people's heads are. It was someone I had dated before. Mea culpa, I swear to God and Sonny Jesus I forgot her name. She was like 70. We had sex but she smelled awful and I was afraid I might break something by mistake. There was the woman of color with Asperger's who complained about affirmative action and too many minorities in her doctoral program. There was the transgendered man of color who called the generational BIPOC residents of his gentrified neighborhood the natives and how he was scared of them. While I had some great times in both the analog and digital dating worlds, I love my wife so much that I don't have to deal with this crap ever again. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.